Happy Thursday, everybody. What is going on? It's great to be here. We have, thousands of people coming into this class, which is really, really exciting. I see some amazing faces, people I love, people that it's just, it's always great to see. Also some names that are familiar, also some new ones, which is really exciting. But happy summer. I hope wherever you are, it's not too hot, not too muggy. Here in Seattle, it's been epic. It's been great. As people come in, I want to know, what is everyone cooking up this week? I'd love to just see what's on the menu. This is like, for me as a chef, my favorite time in the world to be cooking. This is it. This is where it starts. August through the end of September. That's when tomatoes pop. That's when cherries are happening, which we're talking about today. That's when apricots and, just everything is in season. Everything. Herbs. It's all happening. What are people cooking up, Lisa? I just want to know. They're putting it in the chat?
People are saying hi from Ithaca, New York.
Ooh, Ithaca. I love it up there.
Wisconsin and South Carolina.
Yes, I love it. Okay, besides telling me where you're from, tell me what's on the menu. And while you're doing that, it's so nice to meet some of you, see some of you. I'm Joel. I'm the head chef here at Homemade. So excited to take you through cherry-braised short ribs today. Again, everything is in season, so using incredible fresh fruit like cherries to braise short ribs is so different, so interesting, so healthy, and it's just an absolute joy. Speaking of joy, we're going to talk about our partners in this, Joyfully Grown. You can find them literally anywhere. They're amazing. The best cherries, the best pears, the best apple. Like, they are all of the best. And I will tell you, 2-3 weeks ago, I went on a road trip with my family here in Washington State. We went from Seattle to a little town that, if you're in Washington State, you know it's called Chelan. And there's Lake Chelan. And it is adorable. The population's like 3,000 people. The lake is stunning. The people are so nice. The town is so sweet. But beyond being so beautiful and being this incredible destination, they grow some of the best produce in the country. And whether you know it or not, Washington State, when it comes to the fruits that we're talking about, pears, and today we're talking about cherries, Washington State is just ripe, pun intended, for growing the best fruit there is in the country. So you know if it's coming from this state, especially from that region, Chelan, where the soil is so rich, the climate is the perfect temperature, and beyond all of that, and this is what Joyfully Grown's all about, it's the care, the thought, the culture around what they grow. Everything is hand-picked. It's incredible. And you're thinking, well, I can't find this in my backyard. You can. You can go to your local grocery store, look for the label, Joyfully Grown. They're incredible. And this is the time to start cooking with all this good stuff. But like I said, I'm Joel. What makes Homemade different than everywhere else, and what today is all about, is that you can talk to me in real time. We can engage with each other, which I love. So if I can see you, I can talk to you. You can raise your hand and we can call on you if you want to voice a comment. If you have a question that you just want to throw in the chat, we have an amazing community that can get back to you, but we also have an amazing chef in the chat. Her name is Lisa. She's sitting 3 feet away from me. You can't see her. She's amazing. Lisa, how are you?
I'm great, Joel. I'm so excited. I smell the cherries and the braising right now in the air.
I mean, you're a chef. Are you cooking with like all the fruits right now?
I try to, yeah. You got to make it. You can cook it. You can freeze it. You can make it juice out of it. So many cool things.
I know. And I think that's another thing to talk about when it comes to these cherries. And again, cherries I'm obsessed with snacking on, but I miss them in December and January. Load up on these. Go to your grocery store, load up, freeze them. I know that seems weird. Freeze them. There's nothing wrong with your freezer. Everyone thinks, oh, frozen food, frozen meats. They're not worse. The freezer is a beautiful thing. It preserves food. So absolutely, this is the time that they're at their peak freshness. Grab a bag, freeze them, save them for the winter months. But if you have any questions for Lisa, she can help you in the chat. But let's get cracking on this one. Really easy recipe. Braising, it's funny, I'll ask you guys a question. What is braising? Don't you dare ChatGPT that or Google that. But what is braising? Because I want to kind of talk through that. Who can tell me? What's it saying in the chat?
Nothing yet so far, but you got everyone excited. Oh, wait. Cooking in liquid. Low and slow in liquid.
Yeah. Everyone's getting the liquid part right, but when you think about liquid, you think about boiling. So that's like, boiling pasta. That's cooking in liquid. So what braising is, it's half cooking dry method, half cooking in liquid. So you sear something or you brown it, and then you cook it in a little bit of liquid. You don't cover it, just a little bit of liquid to keep it moist. So you can imagine if I've got, a short rib like today, and we'll talk about why we chose short rib, but if I was just to roast it for a long period of time, it would eventually get really soft and delicious, but it'd be really dry. So you add a little liquid to keep it moist, to keep it really juicy, and without it, you just have a really, really dry cut of meat or vegetable or whatever you're doing. That would just be roasting. So that's the difference between roasting. Roasting is just dry. Boiling is just wet. Braising is kind of in between. And we're going to talk about why you would do that in a second. But step one is we're making short ribs. These are delicious year-round, incredible right now. And you buy them with their kind of bone in like this. You can absolutely find boneless short ribs. I find that leaving the bone in makes them incredibly succulent and tender. It just adds a little bit more fat and a little bit more, kind of like holds it together. Adds a little bit more kind of muscular tissue that kind of increases the juiciness of it. So to braise these, like I said, we got to start with some dry heat. So I've got a big Dutch oven right here, and I'm just going to load it up with a little bit of olive oil, and I'm on a medium-high heat. All right? And I want to add enough oil to kind of coat the bottom of the pan. And then everyone always does this. This is a little trick. But if I was to salt these short ribs on my counter right here, Mikhailo, can we get to a tight shot of this? There we go. You guys can kind of see the short ribs. If I salt it, you can notice salt. I don't know if you guys are picking that up, but there's salt all over my countertop, and it makes this huge mess. And so what I like to do, especially when it comes to like braising these short ribs, is load them in the pan first. Don't even salt and pepper them. Load them in. You can sear them any side down first. So it can be flesh side, bone side, it doesn't matter. We're going to sear all sides. And then I would salt and pepper them. And that way all the salt and all the pepper stay in the pan, and you're not getting it all over your counter. It's a nice little tip. All right. So we're searing the short rib. And why we chose short rib and why I love braising, and I've said this before, these are really muscular cuts of meat. So filet mignon has very little, kind of intermuscular tissue. So it's very easy just to cook on a grill or in a pan and eat 5 minutes later. These guys, if I was going to just sear and eat on a pan and try to cut into it, it'd be very chewy, very tough. So we need to break down those muscular tissues, and we need to cook it for a long period of time. And so the best way to do that is braising. This is why you do it. Or smoke it for a long period of time. Those types of things kind of break it down, make it soft. And so what I love about these cuts is no one wants them. These are really, really inexpensive. Short ribs are getting more expensive, but shoulder. You can do lamb legs, shanks, all the parts, neck. I know that's weird for some people, but those parts no one really wants. They're kind of the parts that no one really understands how to use. The most prized parts are the rib eyes and the, obviously, the more tender parts that are quick cooking. These take a little bit of time. So A, they're really, really inexpensive to find. And B, you can't really overcook them. A steak, we've all had an overcooked steak when you just sear it in a pan. It's kind of hard to get that temperature right. When you're braising, you just cook the heck out of it, and it really, really has this insurance policy that will make sure it always stays juicy. So step one with these short ribs is I'm searing them, just getting color on kind of each side. And I'm kind of on a high heat. While those are searing, we're going to take a look at these joyfully grown cherries. I'm going to take a handful out. Now, there's a couple of ways to kind of attack cherries. These are my favorite. These are like Rainier cherries. These are so, so, so good. And they just have this candy-like to them. And so One way to attack a cherry is just use a small paring knife, put it on the cherry, and then roll the cherry itself, and just twist and open. And you can kind of dig in there, take out the seed, and you're left with gorgeous pitted cherry. One for my mouth right now. Oh my gosh. They're so tart, but not in a bad way. Like they just hit that acid, and they're so sweet. They're beautiful. A second way to take care of a cherry is to grab kind of one of these firm straws. You can find these anywhere for like 69 cents. This is not a bendy straw. This is like a firmer straw. And you start from the bottom, and you just kind of press up through the pit, and it kind of busts it out, and you're left with a nice pitted cherry. And you can just kind of slice that in half, and you've got a beautiful cherry. I'll show you another time, but let me flip these short ribs around. Take a look. Again, I'm just kind of looking for that gorgeous brown. So I'm just going to a new side here. Look at that. And notice how I'm not touching it too much. I'm just kind of letting it sear on each side. All right, so I'm going to show you the cherry trick again. So I take a cherry, hold it up. I take the stem out. I go from the bottom, and I push up through the top with just a really firm straw, and the seed comes right out. This is my favorite way to pit cherries. They have those cherry pitters now, which are also pretty great. But I mean, look at that. So easy, right? It's awesome. And you can just leave that on there and just go to the next one. Right? So just push up, and then go to the next one. Pretty sweet. And I like keeping them whole. You can stuff them with things. Like, have you ever had a goat cheese stuffed cherry as like a little appetizer? That type of thing. Look at these. So great. And again, I want to call out, you can find these at your local grocery store. Joyfully Grown is not just a Washington State thing. These are a national, incredible brand. And they are national, and they've been picked up by all the major grocers because of their quality. When you try Joyfully Grown cherries, you kind of get it. They're like balanced and beautiful in all the right ways. All right, so my Joyfully Grown cherries are hanging out right there. By the way, this series is a part of 4 episodes that we're doing with Joyfully Grown to showcase their incredible fruit. Cherries being one of them, but keep an eye out. We've got a lot more great classes coming. And I just flipped my short ribs again, so now they're still just browning on each side. And we're doing that for flavor, and we're doing that for texture. So again, we're not trying to cook through the short ribs. We're just trying to brown them. Any questions on that so far? How we doing?
We do. So one person said a similar meat feel and texture is to slice up chuck roast
Yes.
or chuck steak.
Yes.
Would that be a better alternative?
Chuck is so good. It is less expensive than short ribs. The secret's kind of out on short ribs. Everyone knows they're really great, so they are getting more expensive. Chuck, the secret's not out. People think that's just good for grinding into burgers and things like that. That would be amazing. That's a great idea. Brisket, another one that's kind of the secret is out, but it's also super fatty and delicious. You can cut those up into big cubes like this and kind of treat them like short ribs. All those would play really nice with cherries. What's beautiful about these cherries is you don't really imagine pairing them with meat. When you think about fruit, you think dessert, you think things like that. But when you think about meat, which is so fatty, it's kind of like olive oil in a dressing. What needs to balance that is acid, right? When you think about making a salad dressing, you have olive oil, and then you've got lemon juice, or you've got vinegar, or something like that. Same thing when you're just thinking about making a sauce for meat. This is fatty like olive oil, right? And we want to balance it with acid and sweetness. So the cherries are perfect for this. What else we got?
They had a tip about cherries. They said you can use a chopstick to remove pits.
Oh, I've never seen that. Chopstick to remove pit. Okay. I'm into that. This is where you guys always teach me really cool stuff. I love it. All right, short ribs are searing away on all sides. I just keep moving them. I've got an onion here. So I left the bottom intact, and what I'm going to do is just kind of cut it. And I'm going to cut this into little cubes. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. But I'm going to cut this down into little strips. And I left the back together And then I'm going to cut that horizontally. So again, I'm kind of leaving the back intact. And I'm just going to cut that down into little cubes. Really simple. I always say this. Don't feel like you have to have great knife skills. I know I've got good ones because I'm a chef and I've practiced a lot. But at home, if you have a food processor and you're more comfortable putting your onions and just pulsing it a couple times, that's cool too. It doesn't have to be these perfect little cubes. All right, this looks great. All right, so onions are chopped. Short ribs are browned, a little salt and pepper. Cherries are pitted. Hopefully everyone's following. I got a bowl here. This is just going to be a little landing pad for our short ribs. So out come the short ribs. Look at these. Holy, I want to eat that already. Now again, if I was to open this short rib, even though it looks cooked on the outside, it's raw in the middle. So I'm just going to remove these to a bowl. All right. Can we just show those one more time? Can
That's
I just
a gorgeous
face plant in
steer.
those? I know. Man, that's so good. All right. So I'm leaving the pan on a medium-high heat, and in go the onions. Right into the beef fat. If you think about it, all that beef fat that was in the actual short ribs themselves have now kind of melted into the fat that's in the bottom of the pan, and we're almost deglazing the pan with these onions. These look great. So we're going to kind of start to kind of slowly caramelize these. I've got some garlic here. You can crush it up if you want, like this, right? Just take one of the garlics and just smash it. Or you don't have to. If you want a little bit less of a garlic hit, which I like a little bit of a kiss of garlic in this, I don't need it to be so garlicky. I just put whole garlic cloves. So we've got a handful, like 8 garlic cloves in there. And I'm not even cooking them. I mean, I'm not even cutting them. I'm just going to slightly saute them with the onions. But again, kind of the joy and kind of like the center of this dish is the cherries. It's the joyfully grown cherries. So the garlic accents the cherries and plays nicely, sweet and savory. But it's not, the party is not garlic. The party is definitely not garlic. Oh, this smells so insane. Beef fat, onions, and garlic, man. Just call it a day. Call it a day. Smells so good. The other day I was cooking something very similar to this, and my kid came down and he was like, "It smells so good," and I'm like, "Awesome," you know. And I'm so glad you like it. He never. I mean, all they want is hot dogs and bagels and pancakes, you know. And I'm like, "You're gonna love it." I'm making a ragu. It was kind of like this, same, flavor profile. And when it came time to dinner, he didn't eat it. And I was so mad because he said he loved the smell, but like he wouldn't try it. So I was bummed. I was really, really bummed. I do notice for all us who have kids out there, the smell is one thing, but if you can get them involved in the chopping and the salting and the straw and the cherry thing, I mean, that it says a kid thing all over it. But the more kids touch the food, the more they try the food. All right. How are we doing in the chat? Any questions?
Yes, they asked, do you know why chuck ribs are so expensive? My area is selling them for $9.98 a pound.
Yeah, so in general, meat is really expensive. All groceries are really expensive, as we know. So that's not just specifically chuck, but beef in general is kind of surging right now. And then as we know, groceries in general are also surging. It's a good question. All right, so at this point, hopefully you guys can kind of see the color. But they're starting to get just a little bit caramely brown on our onions and garlic. Not going too far. I don't want them to get black. Just kind of this nice light kiss of the heat in the beef fat. And now we're going to make this gorgeous bath for these ribs. So I've got some tomato paste. Tomato paste does two things. One is it gives it this really rich, intense flavor that pairs great with our joyfully grown cherries. But two, you can kind of see in the pan, it gives it this like brick red color. So it's a really nice natural way to get a really robust, gorgeous brown color. I know it's red, but as it cooks, it kind of becomes brown. And you want to toast it like this. Notice how I'm kind of cooking it and scraping it with our onions and garlic. It's really important you do that. Otherwise, it tastes a little bit too tomatoey for me. You kind of want to cook out the tomato flavor. Cool. Next up, we're going to add really good red wine. We'll talk about wine in a sec. And equal parts beef stock. Now, whenever I braise, it's usually equal parts wine and stock. And if you don't drink wine, a couple things. One is if someone in your family is sober, it's okay to cook with wine. All the alcohol will boil out. But if that's still not your thing, which is totally fine, go with about half the amount and use vinegar instead. So instead of using red wine, a cup of red wine, use a half a cup of red wine vinegar. And it will be a similar vibe. But everyone wants to know, I'm sure, well, what kind of red wine would you use? And I would think about these joyfully grown cherries. And I would think, okay, well, what wine kind of has that cherry tart sweetness to it? And for me, it's going to be things like a Chianti. It's going to be things like a Barolo. It's going to be things like a Cabernet Sauvignon. I would stay away from like the Pinot Grigio, or not the Pinot Grigios, those are white, but Pinot Noirs, which are a little bit light. I mean, you could, it's not the end of the world, but I want something a little bit bolder, a little bit thicker. So that's where I would go with it. All right. So you can see I'm kind of bringing this liquid up. And so just to recap, we started by salt and peppering our ribs, searing them in some olive oil, removing them, and then using that same pot to make this like insane bath of wine and onions and garlic. And here comes kind of the moment. And we're going to add our joyfully grown cherries into this. And again, this is just like, you would never imagine adding fruit to this. But the cherries are what makes this, right? This is what's going to make it glossy, sticky, delicious, succulent, sweet, and so different. So we're going to add our cherries. We're going to add a splash of balsamic vinegar because we think it adds a really nice kind of just tartness to it. And then a couple of sprigs of rosemary and thyme. If you don't have them, don't worry about it. And we're going to just bring that to a boil. And basically, you just made the best bath of all time for these short ribs. So we want to bring that to a boil. Remember, our short ribs are just kind of hanging out right here. So I'm just going to let those chill right here. And again, the idea is we've seared them dry, and now we're going to put them into the liquid so they can cook for a long period of time and not dry out. So I'm going to pick up my ribs, and I like to go bone side down, just so they're a little bit elevated, but you don't have to. And you'll notice how the liquid is not covering them. They're just kind of like halfway up the rib. That's what we're looking for. How beautiful does that look already, by the way? It's like a cookbook.
Looks gorgeous.
I know. Looks awesome. All right. So I'm going to bring that to a boil. 2 ways you can handle this at this point. First of all, timeout. Any big, Instapot fans out there or pressure cooker fans out there? Because at this point, you could transfer the whole thing to a pressure cooker. And our recipe says a couple hours in the oven, but you could easily do this in a pressure cooker in like 40 minutes. You could also transfer it to a slow cooker. So you could do everything we just did, put it in a slow cooker, turn on the slow cooker, go to work, come back 8 hours later, and you're going to have this beautiful fall off the bone short rib. So you don't have to cook it in the Dutch oven. If you're going to keep it in the Dutch oven, what I would do at this point is cover it, turn down the heat to the lowest setting, walk away for a couple hours. Go watch a movie, go on a walk, go hang out with the kids, go do some work, get out of there. Don't even look at it. If you're not comfortable leaving the stove on, I like to pop it in the oven, which is what we did. So I'm going to turn this off for a sec. And this would take, again, a couple of hours for those cherries to break down and for that meat to get really soft and tender. So I'm going to let that hang for a sec. We're going to obviously fast forward. You don't have to hang out here for 2 hours. I know you love me, but not that much. I don't even love me that much. That's a long, long class. And, I think the question always becomes like, well, what do you serve with this? Listen, it's all about the cherries, right? And it's all about this sticky, beautiful sauce that those cherries are going to create, this beefiness. So you want something neutral under the bottom. What do I mean by neutral? I find sometimes I go to people's houses who cook me dinner, and they like read a recipe for like a main course. They'll do this gorgeous roast chicken, and they'll have a sauce, a cream sauce, and then they have like a really nice, unbelievable orzo with tons of cheese and tons of things in the orzo. And I find that sometimes they compete with each other. Like when you have something like an orzo that has its own sauce and its own kind of elements, and you have this chicken which has its own sauce and its own kind of elements, which one am I focusing on? Which one's complementing each other? So sometimes it's good just to make the orzo buttery, seasoned right, simple, so that the main course can shine and kind of soak into that kind of other course. So it's okay. I like that when you kind of keep it simple. So we're going to keep it simple and make a really beautiful kind of buttered pappardelle, a little buttered pasta. Pappardelle, if you're not familiar, it's actually one of my favorite noodles in the world. It's this one. It's like the wide noodle, and you can find them dried now. You can get them fresh, but the noodle is like as wide as my finger, and I've got some Shrek big fingers. But what's nice about these is I chose pappardelle for this because the short rib will kind of shred, and I like a wide noodle to catch all those kind of beef parts. I think that's really nice, and the cherries can rest on there as well. So I'm going to pop all this pappardelle into some salted water and let that cook for just a second. And as I always do when I add noodles to some boiling water, I try to give it a quick stir just so it doesn't stick together. Now, a couple of things on the salt. You can overly salt the water. I already salted it. You can do a ton of salt if you want, or you can do no salt and salt it afterwards. Or if you're avoiding salt, avoid salt altogether. Totally up to you. I don't find there's a huge difference, so it's your call. But I'm going to make a really quick kind of butter sauce for this, and there's only like 3 ingredients in this. It's going to be butter, parsley, salt, and pepper. I guess it's 4 ingredients. We'll go with it. You like what's that kind of your favorite simple thing, Lisa? Like simple side? Like what do you make? Is it a mashed potato? Is it a pasta?
I love a mashed potato.
Yeah.
Or even a couscous.
Yes, I love
like
a couscous.
Butter, stock, couscous.
I know.
It's kind of like orzo, and it's kind of a mix between rice and pasta.
I'm obsessed with couscous. Couscous, by the way, would kill with this dish. It'd be so good. I like it because it takes 30 seconds to cook and no dishes. You just boil some water in a kettle, pour it over your couscous, which is sitting in a bowl. So I guess there's one dish, the bowl. But you don't have to actually cook it, which is nice.
Kids love it, too. It's so easy for them to eat.
Okay, my kids don't love it. I need to
What?
get them on. I know. I got to get them on that.
I have a question.
Yes?
Somebody asked, how long does it take for the red wine to boil out?
Oh, good question. So you can kind of tell with your nose. And what I was always taught is when you smell red wine and it burns your nose, it's still there. So you kind of want to wait until you can smell it and there's no burn. So it's typically, when it cooks down to about half. So obviously I can tell you it takes 1 minute to cook out. That's not true. It depends on how much you're cooking out. When you're braising something like this, it's going to cook out. It's going to cook for many hours, so don't even worry about it. But I would, again, just imagine a cup of red wine, and if you put it in a pot, it's going to eventually go down. So maybe 1 cup, it would take 2 minutes to cook out. But if you had a big vat of it, it would take, an hour to cook out. So it just depends on how much you're doing. But the reality is, use your nose. I know that's a weird test, but that is the test. All right, I've got a hot pan here. My noodles are just kind of boiling away. And I'm going to add some butter to this pan. And I'm going to do a brown butter. I don't know if you guys like brown butter, but it's the idea of you could just melt butter and toss your pasta through it. Or you can melt the butter a little bit extra and caramelize it. And there's sugar in butter, just natural sugar in butter. And when that gets to enough heat, it kind of turns this nutty, gorgeous brown. So I'm going to cook just the butter, nothing else in there. And just kind of let that melt for a minute, okay? And this is unsalted butter. If you don't like butter, you can absolutely use olive oil. It just won't brown like this, so you can just heat up some olive oil and do this exact same thing. My mom is lactose intolerant, so I think a lot about that all the time. All right, so I'm going to check my pasta here, which is looking great. You can see it just needs to be cooked a little bit longer. Dry pappardelle like this is probably going to take about 5 to 6 minutes. And our butter is just starting to kind of turn brown. So see how it kind of gets foamy like this? This is a really good sign that it's starting to happen. Brown butter like this Usually takes about a minute to kind of caramelize. You just got to be kind of patient. And one thing I'm not doing today, which is a nice thing to do with brown butter, is to not use a dark pan. Sometimes it's hard to tell how caramelized the butter is getting when it's a black surface like this. So if you have a stainless steel pan, go with that. But you can start to smell it. It smells almondy, hazelnutty, really smells good. So this is my easiest kind of butter pasta. Literally, it's just butter. And then about right before it starts to kind of turn the brown I want, I'm going to go with about half my parsley right in. And this could be thyme. This could be anything you want from an herb standpoint. Mint would be really great. Basil. But I'm kind of just making this beautiful kind of herby butter. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of this pasta water. Just about a half a cup or so. And pour that in. And that's going to make this beautiful, quick sauce. That's it. A little salt. A little pepper. I like a lot of pepper because I like a little spicy. And you just kind of have that on standby. And you don't really have to do anything to it. Just wait for that pasta to come through. We'll toss it through. The pasta needs another little minute or so, but it's looking good. Looking really, really good. So pasta's boiling. Let's bring out our cherry-braised short ribs that we did earlier so you guys can kind of see. So again, lid, slow cooker, pressure cooker. We kind of talked about all the different cookers you can do today. So I'll put this puppy over here, and I put mine in the oven about 325 degrees for about 2 hours or so. Put this puppy right there. And let's just take a look. Oh, I can't even describe the smell. Now, one thing I do like to point out is the lid here. I'm going to hold it up. Hopefully you guys can see this. It's hard on the light, but do you see there's little dimples on the lid? Right underneath here, there's like little spots. Those, the moisture of the liquid sticks to the top and drips back down onto the meat, making it really succulent and tender. So these are nice to look for when you're buying a Dutch oven. I like these. I like these to kind of find the dimples. I think Le Creuset has them, Stobe, a lot of those great ones. All right, so at this point, what I want to do is oh my gosh, I want to like check the tenderness of these. And you can use tongs or a fork or frankly a spoon, because if they're tender, you can cut through them with anything. But you just kind of want to stab them and see if they kind of give easy. And these do. They're really soft to the touch. So what I'm going to do is grab another bowl, and I can smell those cherries. And oh my gosh. And they're so soft you can barely pick them up. But I'm just going to add them into a bowl here. Just kind of push them to the side. Look, the bone just fell out here. Right? I'm going to take the bone out. Look at this bone. It just fall right off. Fall off the bone, baby. That is what a good short rib does. So I'm just taking all this out, and I'm left with this cherry nectar that is just amazing. And I'm going to heat up this mixture. Let's see if I can get this thing going. There we go. So I want to boil this. And the reason why I want to boil this is we talked about that kind of moisture, that condensation that happens. And so there's a lot of water in this. I want to get that water out of here. Water tastes like water. There's no flavor to it. So I want to cook off the water and make this just a little bit thicker. And this is going to be like the gorgeous cherry sauce that is awesome. And those are my whole herbs. You can kind of fish those out at this point. They kind of did their job. They look great. So we're going to let this cook down. You have a question over there? We doing okay?
Somebody has a recommendation for wine.
For what?
For wine.
Oh, yeah. Tell me.
They said Maraska. I don't know if I said that right, but wine from Croatia. It's a cherry wine for next time.
Oh, I love it. A cherry wine would be killer. I love that. All right. Let's grab this pasta out. It's been about 5 minutes or so. So I'm just going to grab one of these little strainer spider guys, pull this puppy out, and go right into this brown herby butter. Oh. And I'll bring this over so you guys can see on this other angle of how gorgeous this looks. But literally just going to bring it over here, and I'm just going to toss it And you're just left with this like really beautiful, I'll hold this up to the top here, just gorgeous herby butter pasta. Look at that. So I'm going to do here, hopefully, here, I'm going to move the cutting board. I want to make sure you guys can see everything that I'm seeing. This is too good of a meal not to get the whole experience. All right, so I got a big platter. This is how I kind of serve this up. Nice big platter. And I'm going to start with a bed of our parsley kind of herby pasta. So let's see if you guys can see this. I mean, this looks killer. So simple. It can be brown rice pasta. It could be whole grain pasta. It doesn't have to be just kind of your generic pasta. And then at this point, you can see my sauce. When I stir it, it looks like chocolate sauce now. And that's the cherries. They have this natural pectin that just thicken the sauce. And as we cook it down, it gets really glossy and kind of lacquered. And this, you just kind of move it around until you kind of get the consistency you want, which is, I'm about there. I'm pretty happy with this. I think I have to try this sauce. This has to happen right now. My glasses are fogging up. I mean, game over. Game over. You just win life. You win life. It's so good. This is why the joyfully grown cherries are perfect for this. If you did any other fruit, it could be too sweet, it could be too tart. These are balanced in all the right ways. The cherries themselves kind of disappear into the sauce, but they are the sauce. It's almost like this jammy, like savory deal that you just don't even know where to place, and it makes it so interesting and so different. Oh my gosh, something is making a really funny noise, and I don't know what it is. I'm guessing it's the pan. All right, so here's how I will plate this up. Totally your call, but this is how I'd like to do it. So we've got our pasta here, and what I'm going to do is grab a couple of these short ribs, and I like to kind of just use a knife, but kind of, you don't even, oh my gosh, they literally just fall apart, and just kind of place them wherever you want, right? You can have bite size. Oh, something's happening over here. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's fine. It'll work. All right, so I'm going to grab another short rib. You literally don't even have to cut it. You can just kind of shred it and just kind of place that anywhere and everywhere. This is a dream meal for me. This is like fall apart, gorgeous beef, and the best sauce in the world. Look at this. You don't even have to cut it. You just kind of break through it. Oh, this looks so good. It's awesome. And then you grab this joyfully grown, beautiful kind of cherry reduction. And let's make sure, Mikhailo, I can get a good shot here. Can you guys see? Yeah, there you go. And I just kind of pour a little bit of this over everything. And the cherries are still intact, but they've cooked down quite a bit, which is really nice. And this just looks awesome. And I reserved a little bit of that parsley just for this moment, just to give it a little bit more greenery right over the top. Oh my gosh, this thing is tripping out, and I love it. It's all the funny noises you can imagine. I'm taking all these pans off. But that is it. And, you know, you want to hold back for a second before you dig in, because it will obviously destroy your mouth. And you kind of want to give the pasta half a minute just to kind of like absorb everything that's going on in that sauce. And you know what I did forget? A fork. Out of all the things. Oh, we got one. So I just want to hold this up so you guys can, oh my gosh, look at this. Talk about a joy. Look at this. Holy cannoli.
I'm so hungry for
I
looking at
know.
that plate.
Let me hold this up to the camera here so you guys can see. Look at that. You literally, I mean, these are big, beautiful, glossy pieces of meat. The pasta is just to complement it. It's not about the pasta. It's about the cherries. It's about the short rib. It's everything but the pasta. The pasta is a vessel to help you get it into your mouth. You do not need a knife for this at all. You just cut into it with a fork, and you just kind of grab a little piece. I'm going to grab a little bit of pasta too, just to get the full experience of our brown butter pasta, a little bit of that short rib. I mean, I could eat the whole plate. That's the problem here. That is the problem here. I could faceplant into this whole plate. It is so good. The beefiness, the richness, it's there. It's what you want when you buy a short rib. When you eat a short rib, it's just so tender you barely need to chew it. It almost disintegrates on your tongue. But the cherries are what makes it. The cherries are what comes through. The cherries are what kind of balance the beefiness, the richness of the short rib. And I think, listen, we think of cherries as something to snack on. We should think of them as an ingredient, because when you pair them with something fatty like this, it doesn't really get much better. The pasta's great. I mean, is it anything to write home about? Maybe not. It's neutral, but it really does the job. Oh my gosh. That's like dream meal. Dream meal status. I love it. I want to call out again, if you are looking to take full advantage of cherry season, this is the moment, and this is the brand. Joyfully grown, incredible. They come from my state here in Washington, but they go all the way to your state in your local grocery store. Check them out. Look for the label. Cook more cherry. Cherry barbecue sauce, cherry tacos as a little salsa, cherry salads, roasted cherries, stuffed cherries. Use the straw tip. I love that. And you can go to their website. We're going to put that link in the bio. I want to thank Joyfully Grown, and I want to thank you guys. It's been a great class. I can't wait to eat this. We always eat this off camera, and it's my favorite. But I just want to thank you guys for your time. We know it's sunny outside. We know there's a lot going on. So to come into Homemade and hang out with us means a lot. Coming up, we have a white lasagna with American lamb and spinach. That's coming up on Tuesday, August 6th. So it's a lighter lasagna, a lasagna blanco. It's going to be amazing. We'll see you then. Have a great week. Take care. Happy cooking.